3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres-Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch.
I'm Anne-Marije Rook.
And I'm Molly Hurford.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Queen Stage Women's Cycling Podcast, where we are covering the Tour de France Femmes, avec Zwift, going stage by stage to bring you all of the racing action. We're kicking off 9 stages worth of race recaps and tour excitement. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts, and if you would like, please leave us a 5-star rating review. Before we dive into today's stage, a huge thanks to Ruckus Composites for making this show a reality. Built on a mission to push the boundaries of carbon fiber performance, Ruckus Composites and Aerospace are leaders in engineering, research, repair, and inspection. Okay, let's talk about the day. What a day it was. It is barely 8 o'clock where I live, and oh my God, I feel like I've lived a lifetime already today. We saw stage 2 of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. It was a very hilly stage, 110 kilometers. One of those stages where the elevation profile looks like an EKG, like no flat, very punchy, still in Brittany, so still in Western France. This is a stage that would have been hard for me were I in the Tour de France. Why do I bring myself into it? Well, I happen to be in my early 40s, and today's stage winner was 41-year-old Mavi Garcia. I feel like we have to just start with the end here because Mavi put on an incredible performance with just 10 kilometers to go in the stage, and I kind of have chills even just talking about it. Mavi is the oldest rider in the peloton. She is the oldest stage winner now of a Tour de France Femmes stage. She's also tied with the oldest stage winner of a Tour de France in general stage. I guess I looked it up, 1963, we had the oldest Tour de France stage winner in the men's race. And this is definitely worth talking about, I think, for a lot of reasons. We also had an older stage winner yesterday in Marianne Vos at 38. So as Rook pointed out, the average age of our 2 stage winners now is 39 and a half. So it's really cool. I think we see this more in women's racing than men's, to have some older women in the peloton. But I digress. I want to talk a little bit about Mavi because her story is really cool. You know, in addition to her age, she is one of these riders that came into cycling a little later in life. She's from Mallorca. She was a figure skater for much of her early life, which is super cool and random. In her 20s, she took up running. She was a really successful duathlete. And like many, I feel like multi-sport athletes, she started to trend towards the cycling and really enjoyed cycling, became competitive. I think one of her brothers was a big cyclist. That said, she was 31 already when she, I think, got her first pro contract. So her learning curve was sharp. She had to learn fast. It was not pretty at times. I have to say, when I think of Mavi Garcia, I think of someone often bandaged up. I think she crashed a lot. In fact, Rook and I were chatting at the 2022 Tour de France Femmes. Mavi was in a horrible crash.
Yeah, she got hit by her own team car. Like, how
Yeah, I think that was the gravel stage.
Are you? Yeah, I mean, that gravel stage was super crashy in general, but then to get taken out by your own team car, I mean, man, that is a stroke of bad luck.
Yeah, and I think, too, that also she's like a fighter. As a rider, she's incredibly aggressive. She's an amazing climber. She's from Mallorca. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So climbing is literally in her blood. She's gritty, she's strong, and she is a fighter in the sense that she has had to sort of learn very quickly. I don't think riding in a peloton came naturally to her for a long time. The rules of the road, the tactics, and she's great. Her smile lights up a room. She's often near the front, but a victory like she had today is not something that we see often with Mavi. So, yeah, just really, I think we were all so excited to see that. It was also a great day of racing, which I'll let Molly sort of get into. And this was Mavi's win, I think, was just the icing on the cake.
Well, not just for her, but for the whole team. Like, that team doesn't get to, be on the podium very often, even though, a shout out also to their sponsor, Liv, who's the sponsor of the Young Riders jersey as well. And they've done such amazing things for women's sports in general. So to see them get that win, and you could just tell how much it meant to them. Like, the whole team was at the front row during the award ceremony, and it was a really nice and touching way to end the day. And I think, yesterday we saw Marianne Vos win. Everyone loves it when Marianne Vos wins. Like, if you saw the socials, everyone's like, yay! And then today, the same thing, Everyone's like, yes, Mavi, yes.
Rook, is that why you're wearing an orange shirt today?
Yeah. Well, also because the Euro finals are today, the Euro Cup finals. We're not in it, but we didn't even make it beyond the qualifying stages. But I still, support the Dutch.
Yeah, and something I want to say real quick, Molly, before you take your turn, that Mavi Garcia, her racing style, she has good sense. Like, she's always up there in the action, and she's willing to take risks. She reminds me a lot of Kasia Niewiadoma, where she does these tireless attacks over and over, and kind of always a similar type of attack. It doesn't always work, but when it works, it really pays it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking as I was typing it, I was like, I don't think I've ever gotten to write that Mavi won something, but I have typed her name so many damn times in race recaps. So it was so exciting to get to do that. And I do have to admit, as I was taking notes to talk about how the race played out, I literally typed, unfortunately, Mavi was unable to hold off a hard-charging peloton.
I know. I thought the same. I thought she was going to get caught, and now I'm bad.
And then I had to backspace and delete it, which was actually, the best feeling in the entire universe. So I was so excited to get to do that. But I have to admit, I did not think she was going to be able to hold that off. And I'm getting ahead of myself because we had 110 kilometers before that. Which, admittedly, we did not get to see the first 30-ish kilometers. They cut in, they're giving us a good chunk of the racing, but not the whole entire stage. So we didn't get to see the first 30K. So we came in with around 85 to go. It was a pretty mild-mannered start, though. Nothing major was happening. We do have to shout out yesterday's. We gave her the Queen of the Stage title, Francie Koch. She was back on the attack with Movistar, who was clearly looking for, a better day after, let's call it what it was, the disaster that was stage one for that poor team, losing Marlon Reusser, having Leon Lippert get stuck in a crash. So those two got together. They were in a break. They had a minute up on the peloton. Frankly, we sort of knew they were going to get caught. That was just a matter of time. And it was, in fact, a matter of time. They got swallowed up. Next group to go off the front included the current Queen of the Mountain, Elise Chabbey. And to be honest, I thought she was going to be our discussion for the day because she was absolutely electric, and we are going to keep talking about her momentarily. Because her climbing, her strategy, just watching her keeping an eye on the women she was with, which included, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciations, I apologize ahead of time, Silke Smulders and Maud Rook, I'm going to go to you for this.
Reinbeek.
So they managed to have a pretty solid gap until, heading into the finishing circuit. So we had another circuit finish. Okay, the one question I had for all of you, Kasia Niewiadoma, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, they made a brief attack around 22 kilometers to go. Little shout out to Puck Peters, who did this little curb hop that was just the greatest thing. It reminded me of, in Tour de France stages where they, there's guys on mountain bikes that are, jumping over the peloton.
Yeah.
It sort of felt like Puck was just doing that within the peloton. Just for funsies. Just for funsies. Gotta love a mountain biker.
And I was wondering what was happening there because before Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Kasia Niewiadoma attack, we also saw Cédrine Corbal, which is the DC rider for EF Education Oatly, was also pushing the pace, and everybody, and Demi Vollering and Kasia were also up there. So it feels like it is a nervous DC race, even though it shouldn't have been a DC day either.
So what do we think Kasia and PFP were doing up there when they did go on the attack? Because, I mean, we know that they're stronger than they clearly were. Like, they only got a few seconds ahead of the peloton before they kind of just, like, faded back or the peloton caught them. What do we think was going through their minds with that?
Honestly, I think they're just testing it out.
Yeah.
You know, like Kerbal went on the descent because that's what Kerbal does. Like, she's probably the best descender in the peloton. And then they followed up. At first, I thought maybe they decided to reel in the breakaway in order to go for those points that were on offer. And instead, they took off by the two of them. And I think it was literally just a testing of the legs and seeing how the peloton would respond.
I think, too, Kasia is professed impatient at times. I don't know if that was it. I mean, she's clearly also very professional, but I get that sense from her often in racing too, just a bit of impatience, like a come on, like let's go. Yeah. And I agree with you too, Rook, though, to let her test her legs too. We saw Pauline do it yesterday. They looked good. It was good to see. I liked seeing Kasia kind of stand up and go. Also, you know what?
If I was a racer thinking, you know, we don't have like all the references that men's cycling have with so many editions of the Tour de France that you can kind of tell how it's going to go because they have already visited those mountains and those roads and whatever. And I feel like they don't want to leave it up to chance. They know it's 9 stages this year. There's more climbing. They don't want to wait till they're there to start making an impact in their own maybe GC. So maybe they're just watching each other really closely.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of that.
For sure. It's also good to be seen. Like, we didn't see Kasia yesterday at all. She's the defending Tour de France Femmes champion. So it's just good to see her get some, you know, cameo time and be like, hey, I'm here. And I'm someone to watch for, especially later on or anytime the road points up, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's, you know, right around 20K to go. And then when they panned out to the peloton, we kind of got to realize that, oh, this peloton got so whittled down in the course of that race, and I was kind of surprised at how small it was by that point. And also surprising, Lat Kopecky just kind of kept yo-yoing throughout that race. She was just, 1 minute she's out front, the next minute she's like off the back and trying to hang on.
Yeah, I heard she has lower back problems, which is a real bummer to see. But what a teammate she is. Like, in the end there, she still did that lead out for Lorena Wiebes, who got second place.
I know. I thought she was gone. And then suddenly I had to kind of do like a double check. I was like, wait, she's leading up the hill? I thought she was out the back.
And the way the commentators were talking about her, it was like dire. It was like, she's done almost. I was like, but then there she was.
Exactly. And then, as we talked about, Mavi Garcia makes this incredible, beautiful attack, building up an 18-second gap almost like instantaneously. And, you know, again, I was so surprised that I actually wrote about it as though she got caught, but she didn't. She managed to hold off everyone attacking. And when I say everyone, every big name was in that group trying to catch her. Niewiadoma attacked, Kim LeCourt attacked, Marianne Vos attacked, Chloe Dygert attacked, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot attacked, Leanne Lippert attacked, Lorena Wiebes attacked, Demi Valerie attacked. Everyone attacked, and no one could catch her.
So cool.
Also, side note, we didn't mention this. Her position on the bike, Mavi Garcia's position on the bike, she looked so relaxed until 1K to go. Like, she just looked like she was just out for a ride. And then at 1K to go, you saw her face like change almost. She went so deep into the pain cave on that last kilometer. It was absolutely incredible to see. Okay, so we know Mavi Garcia took the win, obviously, followed by Lorena Wiebes, Kim LeCourt, Leanne Lippert, and Marianne Vos. And this leads us into, you know, Mavi Garcia is obviously the story of the day, but what does this all mean for the GC? Rosael, I'm going to toss to you for that.
Yeah, well, I'm just so surprised that Kim LeCourt and her team were able to come through this morning in the pre-race interviews. They actually said they wanted to go for the yellow jersey on this stage, which is very interesting. I think there's some energy fitting into that team because just 2 days ago, that team was just saying like, oh, we're just, you know, Kim is just here for experience. So maybe she could, you know, be a contestant for the GC in future editions of the tour. So it's really exciting to yeah, to hear that they're feeling good. And yeah, and because of that third place, she moved up to the yellow jersey, and she was kissing that jersey. She was so excited about it, which is interesting because she decided, right? So I think Rook noted that she wasn't wearing the green jersey today, right? Because Marianne Vos won it yesterday, but then she can't wear two jerseys at the same time. So they give it to the next person over, which is Kim LeCourt. But she wanted to keep wearing her Mauritius national road champion jersey. And so Demi Vollering was wearing green. So yeah, in the GC, so we have LeCourt number one at 4 hours, 37 minutes, then followed by Marianne Vos with the same time, and then Pauline Ferrand-Prévot with 6 seconds below, Niewiadoma 10, and Vollering 13 seconds. For the youth classification, I think we have a new winner there with Julie Bago of the Cofidis team, which is also nice for France to have a French team in that classification. And the points jersey, it's still on the shoulders of Marianne Vos, followed by Lorena Wiebes and Kim LeCourt. And in the mountain classification, we have Elise Chabbey, who we want to talk about definitely today because she really fought for that and she was organized, keeping that break organized so she could continue taking on points ahead of Silke Smulders and Mavi Garcia, who's now third in the jersey, in the polka dot jersey. What do you guys think of the battles for those sprints today?
Yeah, speaking of this, I want to back up and talk about the GC a little bit. I think yesterday and today, the stages on paper did not, they belied how hard they were. I think if you look at the GC gaps, those are substantial given the distances of the races so far and their profiles on paper, because there's some surprisingly big gaps that the riders, especially GC hopefuls, are going to have to make up once we get to the mountains.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're talking about colors. We're talking about all the jersey colors. Rook, we need to talk about some bike colors. We need to talk about some bikes. I can't believe we're in stage 2 and we have not touched on what are the riders on? What's happening?
Yeah, what I love about the Tour de France Femmes is that all the teams go all out. There's, special kits, there's special bikes, and not just between the different jersey wearers, but the entire team. So if you look at the teams like Movistar and Canyon SRAM, they both ride on Canyon bikes, and they all got the My Canyon custom paint schemes. And each one of these riders got to pick their own paint scheme of the bikes. So if there's, a time during a race where things get a little boring, have a look at those bikes because they're really really cool. They're all hand painted, made to order, and so they're very unique and very pretty. Demi Vollering also has a new paint scheme on her bike for this Tour de France Femmes. It's an homage to her roots. Her family were florists. They grew hydrangeas in greenhouses, and that's where Demi got her start. She was studying floral design. That was going to be her career path if it wasn't for bike racing. And so if you take a close look at her bike, you'll see these beautiful hydrangea pattern throughout her bike, which is pretty neat. And then jerseys. Yeah, we've got SD Works. Like yesterday when I saw Anne van der Breggen on the attack a little bit, it took me a minute to even recognize her because she was in this blue jersey with a red arm sleeve. So I really love how everyone goes all out, new jerseys, new bikes, beautiful nails. It's definitely a thing that people celebrate. It's the biggest race of the year. And the whole thing is just a big celebration.
Okay, speaking of the SD Works jersey, can we also just talk about where SD Works has been, period, in this race? It's so shocking to cover Tour de France Femmes and not have really mentioned SD Works at all at this point. Do we love that? Do we hate that? How do we feel about that?
I mean, Wiebes is out there, but she's kind of by herself. I mean, we talked about Lotte Kopecky today as well. But yeah, you're right. They're definitely not... they're not at the front of the pack. They're not controlling. Same thing can be said about Lidl Trek to that end. But yeah, it's interesting to see, Visma Leasebike has completely taken over as the team that is most organized and most visible at the front of the pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a note too with Lidl Trek. I was surprised because I sort of expected them to be, at least moving around the front more than they were. And Sharon Van Androoy did go towards the end there. It's not that they weren't really in the mix, but I'm just so used to seeing them very much controlling the pace and being super active in the race. Oh, on that note, we also didn't talk about Alyssa Longo-Borghini, also kind of not really in the mix.
And she's one of those riders who lost so much time yesterday.
Yeah, but also I'm looking at Sara Gigante, now that we know her heritage seems to be Italian, from AG Insurance Sudal. She's also sitting 19th, 39 seconds behind LeCourt in the GC. But I've heard that she's not the most comfortable rider riding in the peloton. Have you heard that as well?
Yes, but listen to those two names we just mentioned, Elisa Longo-Borghini and Sara Gigante, 1-2 at the Giro d'Italia. Are these women, are they too spent? Are they too tired? Time will tell. But I'm sad for Elisa because she has sort of a cursed relationship with the Tour de France Femmes. She DNF'd 2 years ago, is that correct? And then last year didn't start due to injury. And yeah, that's got to be tough for her coming off such a wonderful victory at the Giro, only to sort of be so far back in the Tour de France Femmes right now.
From the riders who did the Giro, I see Anna van der Breggen is hanging in there in 7th place in the GC. But it makes me wonder if maybe the Giro Donne, next year it's not going to be a problem because they're going to move it to the end of May and beginning of June. But maybe it wasn't the best preparation for this race so far. But we'll see when we get to the mountains.
Right.
Again, this goes back to, is the racing just harder or are they tired? There's so many people out with injury or food, digestive issues or just tired legs. I was expecting, to be honest, a bit more firework in the first two stages. Where are the attacks? Phoenix de Koning isn't taking any flyers. I haven't seen anything by Lucinda Brandt or, the kind of riders, even Kopecky, who would just go and attack a bit more and try to make something happen? Or is everyone just saving themselves for those really big days in the mountains?
I think a lot of riders may be blaming it on retrograde season. Mercury's retrograde along with Chiron and 2 other planets. Even Kim LeCourt, who's is the yellow jersey today, she did have a bit of a mechanical or something, and she had to get off the bike and get back on. So it has not been the smoothest start for the Tour. And we also lost Picnic Post-NL sprinter Charlotta Kuhl. She did not start today. So a bit of a bummer, definitely, after Marlon Russo of Movistar abandoned yesterday.
And is Mercury going to remain in retrograde throughout this whole tour?
I'll check that for you tomorrow. I'll let you know.
Yeah, you'll be writing to the UCI next. Please take in consideration the moon charts for next year's calendar.
Yeah, the Olympic Games are happening here, but Mercury's in retrograde over here. So this is the only time we can do the Tour de France Femmes. This is... Honestly, I would love that. A star chart of the best times for bike racing.
Don't get me started on charts because I just learned last month that apparently countries and events and everything has an astrology chart. So for example, like Puerto Rico is a Leo, apparently.
What's the Netherlands?
Sorry, how?
Because it was founded in Leo season. And it makes sense that the Tour de France would be a Leo because they are a July race and because their mascot is a lion. I don't know.
Can we get some?
I don't know.
Okay, let's move on to the queen of the stage, our queen of the stage. Betsy, who are we talking about today?
Well, I am wearing the shirt to give you an idea of who our queen of the stage is.
Yeah, did you change into that shirt for, I know you changed into it for the recording, but did you change into it when we decided who the queen of the stage was?
No, I woke up this morning, this was the shirt. But our queen of the stage today is Elise Chabbey of FDJ. She was the literal queen of the stage. She won the polka dot jersey for the 2nd day in a row. And she put on a real masterclass. She really represented the polka dots well. She was in that break, stayed in that break with Silke Smulders. She went hard for all the points. Just really a real solid performance today. And she's also a rider with a really cool backstory. She's fairly new to professional cycling. She joined with Canyon SRAM 5 years ago at the time that the COVID pandemic was wreaking havoc on the world. She was also a medical student. So as she's sort of starting her professional cycling career, she's on the front lines dealing with the pandemic. And she has since become one of the best climbers, best sort of all-rounders in the peloton. She also, fun fact, was a professional slalom kayak racer. She even went to the Olympics in 2012 for kayak racing. So another one of these women who has just been a really incredible athlete and person for her whole life. So shout out to Elise. Great day today.
Isn't it funny how some of the riders you feel like have been in it for so much longer than they actually have?
Yeah.
Because again, she's one of the ones, if you'd asked me, I would have been like, oh yeah, she's been racing for like 10 years. Like I've always covered her. But no, you're right. Yeah, she's new.
We all have written her name a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Like muscle memory on the keyboard of how to type out these riders' names at this point.
But speaking of jerseys, polka dots, which we just discussed, Molly, we do have, I think for our no dumb question today, a jersey question, right?
Yeah, and I think we actually kind of have a couple jersey questions we can talk about. So the first one we sort of touched on before is, why was Demi Vollering wearing the green jersey if Vos technically held the green jersey and Kim LeCourt was right under her in the standings? So Vos had 39 sprint points, Kim LeCourt had 33, and Demi Vollering was in third with 30 points. So why on earth was she in the green jersey? Well, it turns out, obviously, you can't wear two jerseys at once. Although, you know what? Frankly, I would kind of love to see that if they did like a split one where it was like,
Wow.
Why shouldn't they get that? Frankly, I would love to see it. So basically, it turns out, you can't wear two jerseys at once. So you typically default to the, leader's jersey, the yellow jersey. So Vos is in yellow. Normally, the green jersey would go to Kim LeCourt in that case, but Kim wanted to wear the Mauritius jersey, the national champions jersey. So then it went down to third place to Demi Vollering. Here's my question for all of you. How would you feel about wearing the jersey when you're second or even third in the rankings? Like that feels like it'd be really awkward personally to me. Just putting it out there.
It is, but it's also like a tradition, right? You have to have all the jerseys represented at the start line. To go all out, with the green handlebar tape and the green little touch points on the bike or on the kit, I don't think that's really that necessitates that to that extent. But it is a little awkward, isn't it? Like you're like, well, I'm wearing this, but it's not really mine. It is. I think if you're all on the same team, it's kind of a cool thing, and you can all celebrate together. But yeah, especially in Dami's case, when you're third down. But at the same time, maybe it gives you motivation to actually earn that jersey.
You know what? I would love it if someone was good enough at number crunching that they could actually run like how many people have like been in the green jersey or any of the other jerseys because it was like passed down to them, but then have subsequently actually like gotten the jersey because it like boosted their capabilities. Because you're right, you do kind of feel like you actually like need to prove yourself a little bit. And actually, we haven't actually really talked that much about Demi Vollering, even though she is obviously the favorite to win the race. I mean, she's been pretty quiet thus far. Do we think that's purposeful? Do we think she's just kind of playing it sort of safe, sitting in the front? Like she's doing well. She's fifth in the rankings right now. She's fifth in the GC.
She's such a level-headed and measured rider, and I think looking at the profiles, it's smart just to watch out for the moves, right? Because anything can happen, especially when these stages are on the shorter side. But, she's going to play it safe. She's not going to do more work than she needs to until the big mountains show up.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually, it's interesting because Niewiadoma is kind of not quite the opposite, but I would say she is, as Betsy said before, like a bit more impatient, a bit more like, I want to test the legs. I want to be out front. I want to like get this going, which is, very often like way more fun to watch, but is maybe not necessarily like we are burning matches every time we do that. And we only have so many in our match book for a race like this. Okay, well, speaking of that, what's on tap for tomorrow? What can we expect on Monday for stage 3?
Yeah, so tomorrow, Monday, we have a 162 kilometer stage from La Gacilly to Angers. And let's see, it's another shot. Well, not another shot. Lorena Wiebes, who's a sprinter, did get second place today. Wiebes, sorry, Rook. But tomorrow is a real shot for the sprinters. Well, they'll have to survive a little bit of chaos first. So 160 kilometers, that's just about 100 miles. So it's going to be a bit of a century for them. And it's mostly flat. There's an early climb. It's a category 4 climb called Côte de la Richarderie. And it's 1.7 kilometers long at 4.7%. And then there's some rolling terrain that continues after a while. But then I'm just more worried about the final kilometers. I was trying to look on Bellevue, but I wasn't able to. But I just zoomed in and looked at the map, and it's another, town, like city finish. So I don't know if there's going to be maybe some cobble roads or anything like that, but there's definitely going to be a lot of road furniture. There's a lot of roundabouts and some left and right turns. So I didn't see anything that looked super, super sketchy, but if they're nervous, if they're not going fast enough, it's just, there's always a chance for crashes there. And if they don't happen we have to also maybe talk about the 3 kilometer rule, right? So in sprint stages, we have the 3 kilometer rule, which sometimes gets extended to 5 kilometers. So as long as if you crash inside those 3 kilometers, you get the same time as everybody else. But if the crash were to happen before that, you will lose time. So let's just hope that none of the DC riders get caught in any crashes early.
Okay, and who are we watching for tomorrow? Who's on tap to win?
It's SD Works Lorena Wiebes all the way. Wiebes!
So what's cool about the finishing town, Angers, where we're going, is that it actually has a really rich history in the Tour de France. I think it's been a finishing town or a host town for 33 times already. So it's a really well-known town in cycling. And I believe the last time it was featured in the Tour de France it was Mark Cavendish who won. So like full-blown sprinter finish. So to that end, I'm looking to Lorena Wiebes, obviously, unless the competitors can come up with a breakaway or a different tactic like we saw on stage 1 to give SD Works a bit of a challenge. I think in addition to Wiebes, we're looking at Balsamo from the Lidl track team. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's a good day for her to shine. And also, Lotte Kopecky as an alternative to Wiebes, and if she's feeling okay. And of course, Marianne Vos, she's got a good sprint on her as well.
Maybe we'll get another PFP lead out for Vos.
Oh my God, those two. I love how they race together. I want to see more of that throughout the tour.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing more true lead out trains. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm really waiting for. And I think, tomorrow, hopefully we see that, because I'd love to see Lidl Trek get in the mix. Love to see SD Works, FDJ, I want to see the trains going.
Yeah, and we did see that earlier in the sprints for the green jersey. Lorena Wiebes was kind of caught off guard by Marianne Vos. She didn't think Vos was going to go for the sprint, and she had to give it a little more so she could take it.
That was so fast. She looked extremely fast.
Yeah, that was a really good one, yeah.
Yeah, I actually had made a note in the recap and then, blanked it because we had so much more to talk about. But I was like, wow, Vos looks incredible in that intermediate sprint, just so composed. And I mean, we know it's Vos. We know this, but it was a next level of just composure and genius sprinting, even if she didn't actually get it, nevertheless.
Yeah. I have a question for you all. After seeing yesterday's and today's stage with the millennials dominating the podiums, are any of you inspired to get back into training and maybe try to go pro? Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. But, I've got, Mavi is 41, so I've got 3 more years to get as fit as she is.
Let's go, Rook. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to my 2 feet for the racing and 2 wheels for the things I love covering. Thank you very much.
Also, if you think about how often Mavi has crashed, that's a deterrent right there.
Yeah.
Well, and then, how much longer it takes to recover from said crashes when you are a elder millennial.
Yeah. Yeah, I like having intact skin, unfortunately. So
same.
There's that.
Got plenty of road rash already.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's wrap there. Everyone, make sure that you are, following us, subscribe, rate, review. All of that is super helpful wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Queen Stage and share it with a friend. Share it on stories. Tag us queenstage.cc on Instagram. And we want some burning questions. We want more no dumb questions. So hit us up over there, and we will see you tomorrow for Stage 3. Thanks so much for tuning in.